This is episode 2 of the new podcast, People Are Lame, hosted by me, Isaac Ulibarri. And I'm joined today by my brother, Bill. Say hi to everybody, Bill.
Hey guys, Bill, 5 years younger than Isaac.
All right, this isn't a dating website, it's more of an introduction.
Ladies, I'm single and ready to mingle.
He's single and ready to mingle, and he hopes you have a dingle.
I'm so lonely.
But welcome to episode 2. Now, episode 1 was updated. We'll put on YouTube. Number 1, the podcast is mostly going to go through YouTube for now, just because putting it through podcasting sites like iTunes and Google Chrome. Well, no, what is it? It's Google Play Music and then Skitch, of course. Those right now, this is a podcast on a budget. I'm sorry if the sound quality isn't amazing. It's because this is being recorded from an iPhone. So if everybody would like a better quality, if you do like the content, and I'll try and make the content as well as I can. But if you want better, sponsor us and I'll buy better stuff. But firstly, the name. People Are Lame. I like it. It really comes from, sometimes when I drive, and we live in Houston, Texas. In Houston, Texas, I've, lived in a few places around the United States, and man, is Houston known for its traffic. So whenever you see people sitting there in an intersection and they're on their phone and they're not moving, and you're like, God, people are so stupid. You say that enough. I started to say, people are lame. People are lame. But then I decided one day, I'm like, but everybody's kind of lame. And that's where People Are Lame comes from, is nerddom. 20, 30 years ago, way before my time, I'm 25, is people, it wasn't cool to be a nerd. If you liked comic books, if you liked Star Wars or Star Trek or basically anything considered pop culture, you were a nerd, you were a virgin, you were all this, and, man, I feel bad for, the people who came before us, but growing up, as a millennial in this generation, it's amazing to be a geek, to be a nerd, because that is what pop culture is. And what would have made me an outcast or a pariah back then has made me normal, and so everybody has become lame, I guess. And that's what People Are Lame is. People love pop culture. Star Wars movies back then were, they were big successes, but you were kind of lame if you liked Star Wars. And now if you like Star Wars, you're like, man, yeah, you get it. Because you get it. Superhero movies back then, like the original superhero movies with Christopher Reeves and the 1989's, Tim Burton's Batman with, Michael Keaton. When that came out, everybody loved that. It's like, I love podcasts, and I listen, that's why I wanted to do this. This is something I have a passion for. I love podcasts. In terms of Kevin Smith is God to me. I listen to everything Kevin Smith. So anything Smodcast Network, Tell 'em Steve Dave, Chris Hardwick's Nerdist, the Joe Rogan Experience. It's like, it's all this stuff that, it's popular culture now. That's what I like to talk about, pop culture. Everything from movies to funny articles to music to television shows to video games to anything popular culture.
A connoisseur of the arts.
Yeah, and I'm a connoisseur of it. One thing why I wanted to do this subject is anybody who knows me, they'll be like, oh, have you heard this movie? I've seen 90% of popular movies in terms of, if you name an action movie, I've most likely seen it. If you name a comedy, I've most likely seen it. You name anything other than, the romance movies, I know, the top big ones like The Notebook and stuff. But
anything, cry every
time. Yeah, I don't want to think about that book. It makes anybody cry. But that's what we're here for, is people are lame. So I'm lame, my brother's lame,
Hey.
We're all lame. It's more of a lame army. It's kind of like we're all bringing it together now. No more justifying the name, because I saw one person get offended. And this is the thing, offended, saying people are not lame. Well, why can't we be lame? Isn't lame, it's good to be lame anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're if you're the jock and you're too cool for school, you're considered kind of a douche. But if you're considered lame, that's a good thing, in my book. So that's kind of why I wanted to bring that up. Is I didn't. The name is there for a reason because it's catchy and I like the way it sounds. It's People Are Lame Pod. So welcome. I'm Isaac Ulibarri. I have my guest Bill today, and he'll be in most of the podcast, but there'll be times when he's not here and it'll be just me. And let us know what you guys would like to hear more of in the comments. So this will go up on on YouTube maybe Wednesday. And if you're listening to this, thank you, and please give us a like and a subscribe and share if you do enjoy it. This is a work, a work in progress. This is gonna get better. We're gonna find a groove. If you listen to any podcast, the first 20 or 30 podcasts, usually they're awesome and great, but they were finding their footing, and that's what this is. So, Bill, the first subject of today.
I can already see it.
I'm a person, anything that pops up into my mind anymore, that's what's great about cell phones and computers and all that, is when I think of something, I usually look it up in Google. Now, this podcast, number one, no politics, know that we're I believe in everybody's the same, which means everybody's kind of a douchebag. But that's not a bad thing, Everybody's flawed in their own way.
Yeah,
everybody
has their own little way that they're lame.
And yes, we do live in a very sensitive culture where small things just offend people. And, to be honest, that's why it's like, sadly, we have Trump as president. I don't want to build a wall, but it sounds like a lot of other people want to build a wall. And, there's people who get offended by everything that comes out of his mouth, but he's used it against them. Mm-hmm. And, I don't like to, but you got to commend that everything that comes out of this guy's mouth is a babble, and people eat it up, and then the people who get offended are just kind of thrown to the side. So, that's a topic I wanted to talk about. Just for a few, don't take this, everything we say is not to be taken literally. It is an opinion by two fucking, white Hispanic guys sitting in Houston, Texas in their kitchen. So, my first article is 10 ways you can stop being so easily offended. I'll just go through a quick article just because I think it's funny. Number one, it's a picture of a guy crying. And it says, here's a test. Do you explode in fits of anger over little things? Do others say you make mountains out of molehills? Do you frequently take things the wrong way? Do others feel that they have to walk on eggshells around you? Do others consider you high maintenance? If so, your hypersensitivity is robbing you of happiness. And, I understand it's a joke and everything, but that is true. It's like, you need to take everything, with a grain of salt. Somebody's not going to say something that you agree with, but
you have to understand that everyone has their own opinion. Yeah, sure, you find people with common interests, but just like the saying, never be in a room where you're the smartest person. Always be like, if you're in a room where everyone else has the same opinion, you're in the wrong room. You need to find a group of people that have different interests so they could share bits and pieces, and you get to
this
accumulate.
Is one thing, like, in a personal level, I don't do social media because I find I'm happier not using Facebook or the Instagrams or Twitter or any of that. I look at Reddit, but I look at it, I like to read the comments, but I don't want to be involved in the conversation because everything will be taken wrongly. I can say, ooh, I like peanut butter, but somebody will get mad saying, well, why don't you like chocolate or Nutella better, huh?
And he's not joking about that. Even today, with the name of the podcast.
Yeah, someone got mad over, people aren't lame. You're awesome. I think you're a great guy, but people aren't lame. But it's like, I'm not saying people are lame.
You always tell me about how, people get butthurt. I mean, sorry for the... but people get butthurt all the time because of little things, and I always say, that never happens. Second he puts this down.
Oh yeah, I think it was in like 10 minutes. That was one of the first comments on the post is people aren't lame, love everybody. but that isn't what the name implies. If I wanted to say people are lame in terms of how they take it, I say people are fucking dicks. But that's not how it's supposed to go. So that's why I was just reading this little article, 10 ways to stop taking everything up the butt. Now, what you have to understand, if you're getting offended by this podcast isn't for you. This podcast is for people of like-mindedness in terms of you enjoy a good laugh. And the best way to get a laugh usually is to laugh at yourself. So talk yourself out of being offended. It could be simple. In the heat of the moment, try asking yourself these questions. What am I getting so bent out of shape for? Does this really matter? What's the big deal? Reason with yourself. Did he really mean it the way I was just about to take it? Is he truly acting, trying to hurt me? Well then, what is he really trying to say? Tell yourself the person who is, the potential offender has as much right as his opinions as you do to yours. Besides, they're only words. What can words do? They certainly can't break my bones. And that's true. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words shall never harm me. So, that was just a quick thing. I don't want to get into it. Huh? So,
Who was that article by?
it was just it was more of a comedic article. I didn't know who it was by. But this next article is from back in the 90s when I was, a little kid. Early 90s, early 2000s. The main thing that I enjoyed in terms of magazines was two magazines. Mad Magazine with Alfred E. Newman, What Me Worry. And that's kind of a thing I've taken into, adulthood is What Me Worry. But then the second one, which this went out of, they stopped producing this this magazine in 2007, but they've become a pretty popular website called Cracked.com. And I loved Cracked magazine. I remember I had to go to summer school in probably 3rd or 4th grade, and it was for a month or two. And I was reading that, and I remember I had it on the bus with me, and there was this kid who sat behind me on the bus with his sister, and I had a crush on his sister.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. So I was really nice, this kid was, I don't know how old, he probably, old enough to start going to summer school or something like that. And I've only gone to summer school once. But he saw the magazines, and I remember on the cover, it was the Scream face, making fun of Scream.
Yeah.
And he liked it, and he's like, oh, I'm going on a camping trip this weekend. Can I borrow this?
No.
And, of course, his sister's there looking at me, and I'm trying to get some points. I don't even know her name. I just used to... This is back when... back when Limp Bizkit was big. So that kind of shows my age. But to me, I'll always be stuck in 90s music. But I remember I gave him the magazine, and I guess they went camping that weekend, and he brought it back to me in shreds. Shreds. And I was like, what happened? And I loved those magazines. I'm one of those people, I'm a hoarder with that stuff. And I guess his parents saw it, and they're like, what is this trash? What is this trash? And he tore it up. But at least he brought me back packing paper, I guess, at the end.
That's just screwed
But
up, though.
I remember Crack very fondly, and it's not for everybody. And I wanted to kind of flip the thing around in comedy. This is supposed to be funny. This is not supposed to be, oh, the world is dark, because the world sucks. But let's not get bent out of shape about it. Let's fucking enjoy it. Let's enjoy life. And this is an article. It's old. It's back from 2013, but this game is still relevant. You've probably seen this game on, YouTube or, multiple places. Grand Theft Auto 5, one of the biggest video games of all time. And this is back when the game first came out, so it's talking about the campaign. But I think it's so hilarious, I need to read it to you. So I don't know if you've heard it before, but people on this podcast probably haven't. So if you're looking for a laugh, this is your chance in terms of, this is if, a really far left liberal and a really far right Republican had a child, and then that child grew up and everything offended them, like the smallest things,
anger filled,
the religion and all that. This is what this parent would turn out, and this is what this parent would look like if they had a regular child who tried to play Grand Theft Auto 5. And this is called 4 Ways Grand Theft Auto 5 Turned My Son into a Monster.
By John Cheese.
Yep, by John Cheese on crack.com. I'll add the link to the podcast if people want to share it with others. I think it's hilarious, so I need to read it. This is back in 2013, but it's still pretty funny. Since their inception, I've been an advocate of parental responsibility with video games. Because even though I don't believe that video games make people more violent, I do think that it's important to know what information is entering your child's stupid, fragile skull. But recently, thanks to the release of Grand Theft Auto 5, my stance on video game violence has been shaken to its very core. Despite my beliefs, I can't deny what I've witnessed with my own eyes. It has changed my son in some pretty shocking ways. For instance, number 4. He became a rage-fueled monster. Even though my son is 11, I'll let him play certain M-rated games because he handles that content very well and has never shown any signs of it affecting him in negative ways. Until now.
Oh, God.
He was on an early mission that required him to drive alongside a semi and catch someone as they jumped into his car. I was in the other room, researching something testicle-related for Cracked, but I knew he was failing because I could hear the same character conversation over and over again. As he repeated the attempts, on the 4th try, he couldn't take it anymore. He said under his breath, "This is stupid." I shot out of my seat, concerned at the monotone quietness his rage had produced, and bolted into the family room. Hey, there's no need for that. You need to calm down, I said in a panic. It's just a game. There's no need for you to explode like that. He glanced up at me, the rage flooding his eyes with indifference, and said, "Oh, no, it's not a big deal. These cars are just kind of hard to get used to when you first..." I threw my hands up in defense and tried to wrangle his hatred. "Whoa there, cowboy. There's no need to take your frustrations out on me. Everyone in this house loves you very much. We just want to see you happy. Do you need some, take a break and cool off?" He sighed and hit the retry button, saying, "No, I think I can contain myself, Dad. I'll try not fly off the handle like that again." Always leery of Satan's trickery, I gave him the benefit of the doubt and cautiously backed out of the room, warning, "I'm watching you, devil host. You control your demons, or I will control them for you." I'd like to say that our problems ended there, but unfortunately, they were just getting started. Man, it's terrible. It's terrible. Now, it shows a picture of a kid playing the video games, and underneath it says, "That level of unsustainable rage can break a man." Number 3, it turned him into a thief. A thief. Can you believe that? A video game turned a kid into a thief.
Wow.
Everyone knows that 3 of the 8 commandments are thou shall not thy still thou. That's Hebrew for don't steal shit. Think about that. More than half of the commandments are devoted to this rule, which means that it must be pretty important. This is why when I heard my son doing a hold-up mission on the game, I developed a plan to test his resolve. Scanning my family room, I saw that he had a half-empty glass of iced tea. Or was it half full? I pondered this question for about 45 minutes before I decided that it was neither, and picked up his cup. Taking it to the kitchen, I put my plan into effect. Filling the rest of the glass with the tea, and then placing it back where I found it. Now we'd see what he was truly made of. The top half was clearly my tea, because I poured it. The bottom half was his. If he was an honest man, he'd poke a hole in the bottom and drink all of his own. And then there's a glass of a pitcher of tea with a couple glasses and some lemons next to it. And it says, "Here's a bunch of lemons with it too, because I know you're a pretentious asshole." As if presented no moral conflict at all, he picked it up and thanked me. His tone, that of hate-stained mockery disguised under a deceiving veil of casualness. Then he took a long drink as if to say, "This is my world, old man, and I take what I want." "I knew it!" I screamed, slapping the glass from his hand. Thousands of tea droplets sprayed the walls and the TV screen as my son jerked in surprise. What was that for? He yelled, wiping tea from his face in his now soaked shirt. You know damn well what that was for. That game is devil in you and your mind with urges of thievery. I won't stand for it. Now get in that shower and wash the devil away. And then it shows a shower head with water coming out saying, Devil, be gone! He shook his head and stood up. I had to take a shower anyway because he drenched my hair with tea. And you can't just refill someone's glass and then claim you stole it. What is wrong with you? He stomped off toward the bathroom and I followed. What's wrong with me is I will not have a son who is infected with the heartworms of sin. Thou shalt not still thy tea of purity. Read the Bible, sinner. I blessed the shower to turn it into holy water and made a mental note to market a Christian tea called Purity, and then left him to his devil washing. But Grand Theft Auto 5 must produce an exceptionally powerful demon, because within the hour, number 2, it turned him into a racist.
Oh my god.
So which one is you? I asked, motioning to the 3 men on screen. Well, the game lets you play all 3 of them, but right now I'm the... He paused for a second, suddenly measuring his words. Because in Grand Theft Auto, in the picture, it shows, Michael, who's a, middle-aged white dude. In the middle is Franklin, who's like a 20-year-old black guy. And then on the end is, another middle-aged,
Trevor,
crazy white guy, Trevor. So he just said the middle guy instead of the black guy. Don't patronize me, I warned. You know I don't know directions. He took a slight breath and reluctantly said, The black guy. I sat in shock for several seconds before exclaiming, You racist piece of shit. Dad, I'm not racist. I taught you better than that, I yelled. In this house, we do not use racist terms like black or African American. What have I told you 1,000 times? I'm not referring to black people as not white. That's every bit as racist and degrading as using a full-on slur. What? Have you got a thing against white people? I asked in horror of his racial defiance. You're too good to play a white man now? You're racist against white people? No, Dad, I'm not racist against white people. The game just makes you switch between Don't cloud my judgment with your fancy words, devil. That's it. This Monday, I'm taking you downtown so you can learn a little bit about your own culture and learn to have some pride in your race. He stared off into the distance as if trying to figure out what place I was talking about. Then suddenly, oh, hell no, Dad. The place you're talking about is a white pride organization, and it is literally the most racist place you could possibly take me. Silence! You will go, and that is final. Before the end of the week, you will cease to be racist against white people, instead shouting to the heavens a message of pride and power of the white race. And then it shows a picture of a dude in a KKK uniform saying, Hello, my name is Chad, and I'll be your historian today. I stormed out of the room to make the appointment. From behind me, I could hear him mumbling something about calling the police if I made him go. Whatever. He's lucky I hadn't called the police on him, especially after I discovered that. Dun dun dun. Number 1. It made him thirst for death. After he finished his anti-racist shower, things calmed down considerably. I watched him from the couch as he drove around the city, slowly, obeying every traffic light and occasionally stealing a glance my way, to make sure I approved. Aside from occasionally crossing the center line, which I corrected via threat of grounding, he did quite well. Maybe this wasn't such a bad game after all. After a perfect 3-point park, he exited the vehicle and walked down the sidewalk toward a clothing store. Then, as if his rage had broken a 1,000-year struggle against his mental leash, his character slammed into a pedestrian, nearly knocking her down. Hey, that's extremely rude. Devil rude. Get back there and apologize to that woman, I demanded. He turned to respond, but was suddenly interrupted by a jolt. Ah, a spider! I followed his pointing finger to a large black spot on the floor, not more than 3 feet from me. It was what we Illinois called a wolf spider. So named because they are reborn from the ashes of fallen wolves. I've heard that they can grow to be the size of a man's head, but this one must have been a baby because it was only half the size of my palm. For reference, my palm is exactly twice the size of a baby wolf spider. As soon as he exclaimed the word spider, I jumped into immediate action, leaping up into the nearby chair to make myself appear larger and more frightening to the spider, in a brave effort to scare it away, thus mercifully sparing its life. I let out a high-pitched scream and released an abundance of saline from my eyes, known by wise men to be a natural spider repellent. Despite the heroic attempts, it stayed in place, taunting us with its steadfast grip on the floor. That's when my son showed his true colors. With a gaze as cold as Arctic night, he lifted his foot. Without the slightest hint of emotion, he brought it down. And just like that, he was a killer. A victim of Grand Theft Auto 5, forever damned to a life of unforgivable sin. And then it shows a picture of a foot, like coming down. And it says, in spider legend, it is known as the Eater of Worlds. Oh my god. Slowly and cautiously, I backed out of the room as my son watched me. His eyes showed confusion, but his heart showed the home of the devil. I've since burned down my house to cleanse our tainted possessions, and my wife brought me to a magic doctor who gave me anti-devil pills to keep the dark infection away. So far, they work perfectly, but I can tell you one thing. We will never trust Grand Theft Auto again. My son deserves a normal life, and that game is designed to destroy. Fair warning. And that's the article.
Wow, that is heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking
to see what it did to his family.
You know, poor white
God
boy
really brings them together at such a weak moment.
made him racist.
I know.
Made him a thief. Made him fucking steal.
I know, right?
That was his tea. It was obviously his tea. It was half full or half empty. I don't know how you want to put it. But,
let's take 45 minutes to think about this.
I think that's about right.
Yeah.
So there's just an article in terms of when people get offended, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Is they take it like that.
Yeah.
You devil child. Wash this sin away. All right, let's get on to some popular culture topics. We talked about Grand Theft Auto 5, which is, still pop culture. Some of my favorite things to watch on YouTube is Achievement Hunter
GTA
and play it.
5 videos,
GTA 5
Funhouse.
is always fun. But I want to talk about some of the, we talked about movies in the last podcast, the top domestic grossing movies.
That was of last year.
Of 2016. But I want to talk about a few of the new movies in 2017 that I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We'll bring up a few. And I know it's probably lame to most people, but I'm looking forward to it. It is one of the first ones, I think it comes out in January, is going to be Triple X3.
Yeah, how won't...
Return of Xander Cage.
Yeah, Triple X2 was with Ice...
At the time, Vin Diesel, he was a huge star.
He's such an
Fast and
expensive
Furious
actor.
And Triple X. And Vin Diesel's very hard to work with. I've heard he's very hard to work with. That's why he wasn't in Too Fast, Too Furious and Tokyo Drift and shit. But the franchise is going downhill. That's why they asked him to come back at that end credit scene of Tokyo Drift. So he's popular, but he's really hard to work with, and he charges a lot of money. So they didn't bring him back for the second Triple X movie, which was called Triple X State of the Union, which was with Ice Cube. And I've never seen it, so I don't know. I love the first Triple X. That's one of my favorite action movies.
But explain
so
what Triple X is. The first one.
Triple X. It's a movie about Vin Diesel. His name is Xander Cage,
which is already a badass name. Let's just admit that.
Xander
That's
Cage. Just like
cool.
in Demolition Man, Stallone always his name has to be John Spartan.
Yeah.
They just have to have cool badass names. But he's Xander Cage, and he's like an extreme sports guy. He does BMX, and the first thing he does in the movie, he steals a car and jumps it off a bridge from this rich, what is it? Rich, one of those clubs. Not a yacht club. The club.
Gentlemen's Club. No, that's a fucking strip club.
Where rich white people go. They all have those fucking clubs they go to. They have golf courses and shit. But that's it. And then he gets
You can tell we never did.
he ends up getting drafted to be a secret spy.
Yeah, just
So he could go in with like-minded people.
0 to 100. The movie goes,
and he's recruited by Samuel L. Jackson with an acid burned face, so he has a fucked up eye. Which Samuel L. Jackson's going to be the new one, so I'm looking forward to that. I think he was in the second one too. Samuel L. Jackson's in everything.
Why does Samuel L. Jackson in all the movies always has a fucked up eye?
Well,
not really, but Nick Fury.
Nick Fury, that's his nickname, yeah. But so
still.
I was looking, and I always have a fond memory when I think of Triple X.
Yeah.
Back when Triple X, it wasn't new or anything. Back when the PSP came out.
Yeah.
And there's the PSP, and it was the portable PlayStation Portable, and it had the little UMD discs.
I was big when I was
And I convinced my grandpa to buy me one. I made a paper PSP, and I would pretend to play with it, and he basically was like, this kid's so fucking sad. He broke down and he bought me it. So I remember he took me to Target, and I guess I got to pick a movie, and it was between Hellboy or Triple X for my PSP. And I chose Triple X. And I remember my grandpa was, was old, and he didn't know what the fuck that was. And he's like, oh, hell no, I'm not fucking buying you that smut. He's like, I'm not buying you that shit. And I'm like, no, Grandpa, and I'm, a middle schooler, but I'm not stupid. I'm like, no, Grandpa, that's not what it is. It's an action movie. It's called Triple X. He thought I was trying to get him to buy me porn. So, yeah, I need to look at the third one, and that'll just remind me of Grandpa.
Yeah, the third one looks really... I don't
It's going to be dumb, but...
The Triple X movies in general, I mean, I'm not going to say that the first one didn't have a bad story. It had a good story, enough to entertain me, but it's really just an action movie. It's an action movie that you could sit down, watch, and have a good time. It's kind of like The Expendables, or movies like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But Triple X, it's not going to... I think it'll probably be on the high side, maybe do 20 to 25 million its opening weekend. So it's not going to be big. It's not going to be top 10 of the year or anything, but I hope it makes enough to hopefully get a sequel, because I can never get bored of it.
Didn't the last Fast and Furious make a lot of money?
Yeah, but that's a different
and
franchise.
Everybody's been waiting for.
No, everyone's forgotten about Triple
X.
No,
but in the generation of remember.
No,
I think it will do good.
That's not part of that.
That's
I've
my
never
opinion.
met anyone who's seen it. That's what sucks. But another one, I think this comes out in February 10th. And this is probably one of the best action movies of 2014.
Oh yeah,
John Wick Chapter 2. Mm-hmm. It's going to be awesome if they don't kill his dog, because I saw his house blow up in a trailer, and his dog, they pan out and they show the dog silhouetted in the fire, like, oh, his dog's okay. So John Wick's just going to kill people for no reason this time. Fu. Yeah, gun fu. Those are awesome movies.
You stabbed the devil in the back. Just all the quotes from the trailer in general just make you excited for the movie. And even today I was talking about it with my coworkers.
Oh, yeah.
And even a guy that's like 60 years old, he's like, oh, I loved that movie. That was such a great movie. It's just a movie meant for everyone.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. Mm-hmm. And then I don't really see any good movies up until March. And I have such high hopes for this movie. Is the new it's not being called X-Men or anything, but it's a new Wolverine movie called Logan, because Wolverine's first name is Logan. And it has the old man Logan comic book feel, where he's old and his healing powers don't work very well anymore, and it's it's the future, and Xavier's old and decrepit, and it's going to be really depressing. That's why I love the trailer, how depressing it is. And then they have Johnny Cash doing a 9 Inch Nails Hurt.
Yeah,
it's like that's going to be, and it's going to be rated R. Thanks to Deadpool. Deadpool, made Fox say, okay, we'll make another rated R. And I think this will probably be the best. I hope it does the best out of the X-Men movies, because they, X-Men Apocalypse came out last year and was a huge dud. It didn't make the money that they, expect. As a superhero movie, they hit a certain bar in terms of, they usually open to $90 to $100 million, and
but see,
that one really didn't hit it.
Here's the thing.
Especially the X-Men franchise.
Even with Apocalypse, people that aren't big comic book nerds, I still heard them say, I thought it was a good movie. I thought they enjoyed it.
And at the box office. I mean, and that's the thing is, people pay with, how you could tell if a movie's good is people pay with their wallet. But we also have a thing called a critic. I don't like to criticize movies in terms of I like everything. If I don't like it, so oh well. But other people will, and I always enjoy a good superhero movie.
But I'm looking forward to Logan. Just it's something new, and it's something that it's a twist that I would have never seen, like how they just went into the future.
Oh, they'd already
All
had
of the X-Men are already
Future Past.
gone. Kind of like I wouldn't have expected.
It's really
that.
depressing.
Oh yeah.
But then we have in March as well, and I'm looking forward to this. I've never seen. I think it's a manga and it's anime.
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell with Scarlett Johansson. That's gonna be really cool. It's kind of like a Blade Runner feel and all that.
It's already starting a controversy with the Oriental.
But she's a robot, and I think she was white in the anime too. She didn't have the sorry if this is racist, the slit eyes. She had the big American eyes. So yeah, Ghost in the Shell is going to be good.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it looks pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I heard a lot about the director.
I have no idea. But
So it seems like it's a project made.
so in April though, and this is another just like Xander Cage, but this movie's gonna make a shit ton of money, is Fast and Furious 8, or as they're calling it, The Fate of the Furious. Which just, I don't really like to name Fate of the Furious. Like, what was it? Furious 7? I'm like, okay, I can get behind that. Or Furious 8 would have been cool, but The Fate of the Furious. So it's gonna be, it's gonna make a lot of money. It's gonna be
becoming
fun
more
and
like a
stupid. They're not car movies anymore. They have like action with cars, but it's not really about cars
It's like
anymore.
secret
it's about
agent,
secret
espionage.
agents. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Vin Diesel's, and I quote here, the bad guy.
Charlize Theron, though.
Yeah,
How do you
Charlize
like those
Theron.
dreads?
She's supposed to be a hacker. It's gonna be silly, And then at
Silly.
the end, and then most likely at the end, Xander, not or halfway through, Xander's like, because we already tell him the trailer, like when she kisses him, he's like, he does it like he doesn't like it, and blah blah. He's like, I was doing it to save you or to save somebody.
They're raping
blah,
him. He
blah,
doesn't
blah.
like it.
So he's
I know
doing it
people
for
are
a reason,
excited
and to
about
be
that.
honest, it's going to be a stupid reason. Just like it has to be better than the whole Martha reason for Batman v Superman. But
Your
May
mom's name
5th,
Martha?
and this is my movie for the year, in terms of like superhero movies, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That movie is going to be epic. We got number one. This is another Vin Diesel movie. Vin Diesel has a big year coming for 2017 just at those movies. We have Baby Groot. I paid just to see Baby Groot. And, we get our Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon and Gamora and Drax, and then we get little Baby Groot. It's going to be awesome. I think Kurt Russell's going to be in it, and I guess he's Star-Lord's dad. So I like to see what they have in store for that. And, what is it?
Chris Pratt. I'm
Chris
always excited to see his work. I mean, if you didn't listen to the last podcast, we were having a whole conversation about what did you say, lady boners?
Oh, yeah, Chris Pratt. He's an awesome actor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be awesome. Let me see. I'm looking for... I have his name in my head, but James Gunn. James Gunn's an excellent director. And this movie, it does look really cool because in terms of the movie industry, they always shot on film, up until maybe 8-9 years ago. And then they started shooting digitally. But back then they're like, digital, that's stupid. How could you do it? And now it's just a standard. But that started off with a thing called the Red camera. And then they have this new camera. It's another Red, but I guess it's like, number one, they shoot natively 4K and all that. But it's like the Red Phantom or something like that. It's going to be awesome. Just like the way it looks, like it captures really cool colors. That's why it's going to be a really colorful movie. So I look forward to that. And then we have Alien Covenant, another Ridley Scott movie. And I hope this is better than Prometheus because it's technically a sequel to Prometheus where Michael Fassbender's the droid again. And Danny McBride's going to be in it. And I really like him, from Eastbound and Down and all those... Seth Rogen movies, but Alien Covenant, I guess is going to be really brutal. So I have high hopes for that.
I thought they gave away too much in the trailer.
I hope that they didn't. And then May 26th, I just saw the trailer for this on Christmas for, Why Him? But this movie actually looks pretty funny. It looks like they're going to 21 Jump Street feel, is Baywatch. with The Rock and was it Zach? What's his name?
Zac Efron.
Yeah, Zach Efron, and I like him. She's in the trailer. That guy's ripped. I wish I could.
He loved him in
He
High
was
School
cool.
Musical. You know,
I don't. Yeah, no, don't. I don't watch that shit.
he's kind of embarrassed.
But then in June we have Wonder Woman. That's gonna be cool with Gal Gadot or Guy Gadot. That's. I really hope. You know, it was a rough year for DC superhero comics, so I hope 2017 maybe they've learned a little.
Started on a good little note.
But a bad thing that happens is the director will create an edit, and it'll screen okay and shit. But it's just it's the stuff that it should have come out like that. But then WB will look at it and they'll be like, "Oh, change it like this." Where I'm afraid they're going to edit the shit out of this movie, and it's going to be, it's not going to make any sense, and people are going to hate it. And I really hope not, because number one, Wonder Woman, she's, every little girl always likes, looks
She's
up
a
to her.
strong-
They look up to a good movie. Give a fucking good movie for once, And if not, then Captain Marvel with Brie Larson, that's coming out, I think in 2019 or something. She's just gonna have to step in and fill those shoes in terms of a really good heroine for a movie. And then we have in June, I don't know how to feel about this, is The Mummy.
Oh yeah.
Tom Cruise, I'm sorry, Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, 1999. That movie was epic. And, I like the sequels and stuff, but The Mummy with Tom Cruise, and they're setting off for, the Universal Monsters universe.
I
don't know
like
how
I like
feel
that,
about that.
but I don't know how I feel about Tom Cruise. It's like even in the beginning, how
I like
we
Tom
watched
Cruise.
the trailer and we're sitting in the movie theater,
Well, his screaming at airplane is hilarious.
and he starts screaming, and it just kind of takes you out of the moment, and you're like,
He still looks good. He's 50-some years
no,
old.
yeah. What you're saying, like he's 5 years older than
He's 6 years older than Brendan
6
Fraser.
years, yeah. But
But,
yeah, show the screen.
But it's
Show the screen.
become a meme in terms of Tom Cruise screaming in The Mummy.
Oh
And
man.
let me see if I can find it. His scream is fucking hilarious. Let's see if everybody can hear this.
Oh man.
That's Tom Cruise in the airplane that's going down, and he's holding on to it, and
Holding on for dear life.
he doesn't have a
Which-
parachute or something, but I'll see it for that scene alone. I bet they're gonna take it out because everybody's kind of said it's stupid. But
Just-
The Mummy.
Yeah, and with the whole Scientology thing. There's
And now we're up into July, and this is the heat of all the summer movies, and then we have Spider-Man: Homecoming. Hell yeah! I don't even have to say anything more. The movie's gonna be epic. We've got fucking RDJ in it. We've got the new Spider-Man, who's awesome, way better than Andrew Garfield and his crybabiness. I hated the Amazing Spider-Man movies; they're just terrible.
they took
so
it in the wrong direction.
It's gonna be awesome. And then in July we have War for the Planet of the Apes, which looks fucking epic. Number one, Andy Serkis is Caesar, Gollum, and
What?
Supreme Leader Snoke.
Yeah.
I love that dude.
One thing is just a little side note. Their names are getting too long for the Planet of the Apes. War of the Planet of the Apes.
But that's the name of the original.
No, I know. It's a big mouthful.
Because what is it? It goes Rise of the Planet of the Apes, then Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I haven't seen Dawn, so
That one was
I can't
good.
wait to have a little.
They
marathon
kind
when
of set
that
it up
comes
at the end of War of the Planet of the Apes, where you're kind of like, okay, so they're going to make another one.
And then there's War for the Planet
Which-
of the Apes, so it's gonna be. And then Woody Harrelson, hell yeah, that dude's one of my favorite actors. And then July 21st, we have Dunkirk, which is Christopher Nolan's new World War II movie about the
And
Dunkirk evacuation.
we saw a 7-minute preview.
Yeah, we saw Star Wars Rogue One in IMAX for my birthday, and if you saw it in 70mm IMAX, they had a 70mm 7-minute presentation of a few minutes of Dunkirk, and it looks really intense, and it was huge. They really did fill up the whole screen because the whole movie was shot in 70mm, the whole movie, not just scenes, the whole movie, I guess. So that's gonna be awesome. Tom Hardy's going to be in it. I forget the guy's name. I know people are all in love that Harry Styles is going to be in it from what is it? One Direction. So I guess women will get their fix on
Isn't
that.
it Jonas Brothers? Oh no, I don't know.
One Direction, I think.
Okay.
And then we have July 21st as well, which that's going to be a busy weekend for me, is Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets. This is from the director of The Fifth Element, one of my favorite sci-fi movies. It's stupid, it makes no sense, and the science doesn't fit. Man, is that an epic movie. And that's going to be pretty awesome.
Oh, I've seen a trailer for this one.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
That's going to be cool. Then we have The Dark Tower on July 28th, and I love the Dark Tower books. I've read the first 4, and those are awesome. But
with this movie, isn't there going to be like more to it? There's going to be like a show and series.
Who knows?
What's happening? Because
I don't know.
the whole movie in general is the whole series of books
Just
is
like
all around.
the
from what you
first
told me.
one's
I've
called
never
The
read.
Gunslinger, and that book's so cool. But it's a really short book. But make that. It's basically about his name's Roland. Roland, and he's from Gilead, and it's just think of it. It's like it's America, but 1,000 years from now. So they kind of they sometimes see the ruins of the old world. Like it's cool. Sometimes they see subways and shit. But he's following this the Dark Man or something like that, and Roland's now Idris Elba, which to be honest, in my head, he always was kind of a Clint Eastwood look, weathered face and shit. But I like Idris Elba. I'll give him a chance.
I really do.
And then Matthew McConaughey is gonna be the Man in Black,
All right.
which all right.
The Lincoln didn't shoot. I
Idris
didn't
Elba.
choose the Lincoln.
Idris Elba
Lincoln
keeps
chose me.
walking, keeps going. So yeah, that's it. Then we have It. So It comes up September 8th. Oh. I hope that's good. That's my favorite. Well, no, second favorite. My first favorite Stephen King book is The Stand.
Pennywise.
So The Stand is my favorite, but my second favorite Stephen King book I read is It. And that movie creeped me out in like the middle where there's like a werewolf and shit chasing them when they go into this basement. It's pretty cool. Then we have Blade Runner 2049. That's going to be pretty cool.
Wait, real quick. Who's going to be playing Pennywise the Clown?
I don't know. It was supposed to be that weird-looking kid from like that
It's the one with the
RV movie.
Yeah.
But he backed out because they got a different director and shit.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
it's Eric, the dude from True Blood. Eric. The blonde dude.
Uh-huh.
His brother.
Okay.
I guess I heard that that whole family, like the dad's the dude in the Thor movies and Avengers. Then we have Blade Runner 2049. That's gonna be cool. Kingsman: The Golden Circle. I really hope that's badass. I don't know why it's coming out the same day as Blade Runner and
Kingsman? I didn't know that Kingsman was coming out with.
Yeah, The Golden Circle.
That was a movie that I didn't expect was.
And Matthew Vaughn. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Makes some badass movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Kingsman was my probably in terms of ever seeing a movie. It's the biggest. I went in thinking it was gonna be a dumb kid movie or something, and no way, it was freaking epic. And let's see, Thor Ragnarok comes out November 3rd, and that's going to be a fucking Thor and Hulk buddy movie, I guess, where it's going to be epic. I hope they set up the groundwork for Planet Hulk eventually. That'll be epic.
Yeah.
So if you have a love for Disney, these Disney Marvel movies, Marvel's going to knock it out of the park this year. We thought they did big this year, but they had weird titles like Doctor Strange. And, Captain America Civil War was awesome, but we're going to have Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Thor. We get 3 of the big franchises this year. That's going to be awesome. And then November with Justice League. Please, comic book gods, just make it good. Zack Snyder, 300 was one of my favorite movies. I remember in 2007, nobody knew what the fuck it was. And I'm like, man, I want to see that movie. So I cleaned up the whole house and everything to, just to persuade my mom to take it. Like, ooh, Gerard Butler's in it. You like him, and that movie's epic. Everybody knows 300. So I hope come on, Justice League, do it right, please. You know, we got all the big, hitters here. We got Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Cyborg, who's Ray Fisher. I don't know who that guy is. Aquaman, who's Jason Momoa, aka Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones. It's gonna be epic. And then December 15th this year, 3 days before my birthday, Star Wars Episode 8, motherfucker. That was gonna be epic. Sad that Carrie Fisher died, but I heard they finished filming. They wrapped Star Wars back in July. So Carrie Fisher's going to be in it. It's just episode 9 you have to worry about.
Oh, Pitch Perfect 3 just for the ladies.
Yeah, I've never seen any of them. I knew somebody, I know a kid, I forget his name now. I had an ex who lived in San Francisco, but one of her best friends in high school, he was in Pitch Perfect, so, all the money he made from royalties from the CDs and shit. So that's all I really know of that. And let's see what else. I don't see too many more movies in 2017 that I'm looking forward to in terms of. These are more like artsy movies. But, we also forgot in March we have King Kong Kong Skull Island. That's going to be pretty awesome. I hope they set up the groundwork. Number one, I hope they set that he's, juvenile and he's going to get bigger because King Kong is bigger than that tower or something in San Francisco, that pyramid building.
Empire State Building?
No, San Francisco.
Oh, San Francisco. I don't know what that is.
I've touched that building before. I always make sure when I went there I touched that pyramid building
because it gets
in
destroyed
San Francisco because it gets destroyed in every movie. And let me see what it's called.
Just called the pyramid.
It's the Transamerica Pyramid.
Oh, okay.
So I made sure to touch it because, in Star Trek they do a little thing where boom explodes, Mission Impossible, something flies through. It's always getting destroyed. So I'm like, I need to touch that. So when I see it get destroyed in movies, I'm like, I touched that. And they're setting it up for March 2017. So we're just around the corner now. And then June 8th, 2018, they're setting up the next Godzilla movie.
Godzilla.
So we're going to have another Godzilla, but then in 2020 we're going to have Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh, yeah.
So, man, that's a franchise I want to see. It's like, I remember the old VHS at that, 50s, 60s movie. That was, I thought that was epic as a kid, let alone what they can do today. And it's got like Brie Larson, Tom Hiddleston, Samuel L. Jackson, John Goodman, Corey Hawkins, Jason Mitchell, John Ortiz. And then it also has, he's my favorite part of the trailers is what's his name? The brother from Step Brothers.
Yeah.
He's not on here, John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly, yep.
So, yeah, that's a pretty...
you shouldn't have come here. You're all going to die.
Yeah, you don't walk into somebody's house and start blowing it up.
Yeah.
So I know this is another movie-heavy podcast, but also, what is one of the top franchises, if you're in video games makes billions of dollars, but that's more for mobile and shit. But one of the biggest things people always look forward to, and you always see all over, is movies. And I really hope they do well and they make money because, it's Hollywood, and I want to see more of it. And we have a pretty good year coming up for it, just in terms of, that's why I say is the reason lots of these movies make money is they give you what you want. So we've got that to look forward to. And then 2017, we also have some television to look forward to. I know we all loved Westworld, but we won't get that till about 2018.
Man, that was a good show.
But guess what comes back this year? Fucking Game of Thrones, motherfuckers. And it's been, it was really long hiatus. I guess it was like, how many months was it? But it was more than a year of the hiatus because, number one, I guess they have, there's 15 more hours left in Thrones. So I guess, one of them's going to be 6 and another's going to be like 5 or something like that. There's not going to be a lot, but so we have that coming back. Let me see what's the date for Game of Thrones.
Which that's just going to kill me when they, 6 episodes compared to how many episodes were each season?
10. Every season's been 10.
We're getting half, and 10 wasn't enough for me. They've yet
to announce an official return date, but it's coming because they only have a few episodes left to tell of this, Game of Thrones story, and they know how it's supposed to end, even though George R.R. Martin hasn't written it. and he hasn't even done with the last season in terms of the show. Is the book he's still working on, so they're way ahead of him there. So yeah, that's another thing to look forward to is Game of Thrones. And then we'll have a little video game thing too, because I know people here like games, and one of the biggest games of 2016 was Overwatch. And if you own that, which I own it, it's an awesome game. It's fun. I haven't played it in a bit since I've been on a little Battlefield 1 heavy, Dead Rising 4 heavy, Doom heavy, Gears of War 4. Been playing a lot of games, but I'll have to jump into Overwatch because they just released a new map today called Oasis. So that's just another thing to let everybody know about is Overwatch has a new map out and to go check it out. Let's see, here's Blizzard's official description of it. Researchers and academics from around the region came together to find a city dedicated to scientific progress without restraints, a monument to human ingenuity and invention. The city and its inhabitants are governed by the ministries, a collection of brilliant minds, and possessed many secrets that have attracted the interest of powerful organizations from around the world. I didn't grasp on anything that said. I just saw a cool map.
But that's one thing that I like about Overwatch is
it's like Pixar, the video game.
Yeah, is if you look more into the story, you'll find more of the story, like the characters and how they interact with each other, and there's Zenyatta, and Genji, and Hanzo, and
Hanzo's my guy. I like that bow and arrow.
Sniper.
No,
mine is Reinhardt. I like Reinhardt, and I like.
He's cool. He's my secondary. When there's usually a Hanzo in there.
I like the pink Russian chick.
Well, yeah, everybody likes her. She's super OP.
She's hard to get a hold of, but once you do, she decimates.
Well, I think that's pretty much it for the week. Well, I don't know what the show is yet, like in terms of maybe it'll be like a couple times a week, like Mondays and Wednesdays or something, just whenever it comes out. There's not a set date to it yet. It comes out when I feel like it. Kind of like a bowel movement.
Are you calling this podcast
a piece of shit, you Navy? Somebody already said it's a piece of shit because I offended them for saying people are lame.
Oh my God.
You know who's lame? You for saying it's lame, because I think it's... I really do hope, I'm not looking to be Chris Hardwick or any of that. I'm doing this because it's something I enjoy and I have a passion for, and I hope it rubs off on, the material I'm making, because, this isn't like, oh, I'm making up such high production quality or all that. No, it's just, think of it like, Mr. Rogers. I'll do that. Mr. Rogers always, will you be my friend? He was your, you saw him in a show, but he was your neighbor. That's what I'm that neighbor, I have a big mouth, and I may cuss and all that, but I have a good heart, and I hope that, translates over to you, where it's like, just, will you be my neighbor? Will you be my friend? That's all I want, is I'm not very good at making friends and stuff, but one thing I do have a passion for is pop culture and all this, and that's one thing I can always talk about with people. So I hope by this that there's people who are like-minded like me that, maybe I can reach other people who feel the same way. So I guess that wraps it up for, People Are Lame, number 2. Number 2.
But, you called it a piece of shit. Now we're on number 2.
We're on number 2, the shitcast. But I hope everybody enjoyed it, and if you stuck around this long, thank you. And just FYI, people have asked about what the song is that starts the show and ends the show, and it's the first few seconds and the last few seconds of one of my favorite artists who he doesn't get enough credit is Brad Sucks.
He's really good, yeah.
I've been listening to him forever.
Brad Sucks.
And Brad Sucks, he's awesome. And it's his song called In Your Face.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually emailed him last night, and I asked if I could use a song. So if you say, I'm not stealing anything, because I asked if I could use it, and he said, definitely go for it, best. So I have permission from Brad Sucks to use that material, so just letting everybody know and to give him a look at. Brad Sucks, he's on Spotify and Google Play Music and all those music things. So yeah, give him a check out.
Yeah, and he's a real humble
yeah,
artist.
Actually, you know what I'll probably do? I'll play In Your Face, like the part I like at the end of this, so people can kind of give it a listen. He's a really cool artist.
Yeah, he really is.
All right, thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Have a good one, Walt.
You're lame.
Yeah, well,
Everyone's lame. I'm lame.
I'm lame. I'm sitting here in my kitchen doing a podcast.
I'm
How
looking
lame
at
can
my
you get?
dog, and my dog's lame.
Yeah.
She can't even like roll over.
All right, people are lame.
Lame.
I was barely legal, looking for something evil to say and people to be antagonized. And you said to me it's not a good strategy. You should grow up, try to act like you're civilized. I explained that I just valued sincerity. You should go fuck yourself and then try to die. You were sick of it and called me an idiot and left town and said, are you satisfied? If I had what you hate, I could get you to break. No, I'm not in your face, I'm just getting by. If I had what you hate, I could get you to break. No, I'm not in your face, I'm just getting by. Oh, caught a beating but would not be defeated by any man who couldn't see I was always right. All I said was I don't mean to offend, but you're the dumbest motherfucker I've seen tonight. And though you know you wanna know everything I know, it's the way I roll you most admire. And even if I never think of ever calling you out, am I ready for such a fight?